Welcome to today's May 2021 Customer Success Webinar. We're so glad that you could join us today. We're going to talk about stories and how stories can engage your digital users. I'm Brenda Pierce, and I have with me David Kingsbury. And today we have Jacob on the line. Helen couldn't make it with us, so Jacob is filling in for Helen today. Thank you guys for being here on this webinar. So today's agenda, we're going to look at industry trends, and this was a fun one to do. Storytelling is the key to the user experience, so we're going to talk about that and how Deep Target helps you storytell. We're also going to look at the Campaign of the Month winner, and we will reach out and pick a Java Joy winner as well, so stay tuned until the end. I real quick wanted to point out that Deep Target has a new campaign going on. And if you look at this, it's a great example of storytelling. You can see how it started and how it's going today, and you do it through images. It doesn't take a lot of thought. You can just, you understand. And I just thought that was a great way to start. We not only tell you about this, but we also do it as well. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to David Kingsbury, who's going to tell us all about storytelling. David?
Great. Thank you, Brenda. Hey, Brenda, can you advance the screens?
Are y'all not seeing any advancement?
No.
Okay, well, okay, just hold on a minute. And I see it on my end, but I don't see it on yours. So let me just stop.
Okay.
And let me start again and see if that works. Can you see the screen?
There you go.
Okay. Well.
Awesome.
Okay, here's our great, look, okay. Here we are, Jacob. Here's our agenda. And here are the great ads that Deep Target is doing, and it shows the before and after. Thank you, David, for pointing out that my machine wasn't working.
That's right. It just shows it's a live webinar, right?
Oh, definitely, right? Murphy's Law. Okay, so now I am going to turn it over to David. David?
Perfect. Great. Thank you, guys. So it's a pleasure to be here once again. As you all know, we are digital marketing professionals, and our role is to engage with our consumers, users, customers, members. And the oldest form of engagement, as we all know, is storytelling. And in fact, that's what digital marketing is all about, is telling a story. And if you think about it, every single advertisement, your consumers turn it around and make it a part of their story. And that's what we're trying to do here. So we always need to position ourselves in the minds of our consumer and what they're facing today. So that's the best position to be in. And when we tell a story that they recognize, then we engage them. Okay, so go ahead and advance, Brenda. Every single story has a character, it has a conflict, and it has a resolution. So even today, if you look at every single ad you're displaying for your customers or members, you have a character involved in it, and they're having a conflict. Perhaps they're considering a new credit card, or they're considering a renovation of a bathroom, therefore a HELOC potentially. So there's some sort of conflict, and they're looking for a resolution. And all financial institutions have that ability to provide those financial answers, those financial solutions to their customers. Okay, so be thinking about that in the relation of your story. So next slide, Brenda. So let's take a look at this one. So this is a perfect example. This is one of the ads that I love because it's actually from several years ago from one of our customers. And it resonated with me immediately because I was that little boy in that little metal red car. So yeah, I'm a little older than many people, but I immediately recognized and resonated with it. And that's what we do. We become the character in the story. And so that's why it's always important in your ads to have people, because people want to see a character they think they look like, right? And then they want to see them engaged in a situation that they are in, and then they're hoping for a resolution. Okay, so this is a micro story. So this is a great article talking about how today credit unions and banks need to create more individualized and personal stories to engage their community, their customers, their members. So just another great thing that's talking about the human experience and the empathy that we have for our customers, for each other in the world today. Okay, so great one to read, to consider in your planning of your upcoming ads. So Brenda, over to you.
Yeah. So one of the things is when you're looking at a ad, that your brain works 60 times faster processing images than words. So your image is very important in telling your
That's
story. So that's a great place to start.
that's right.
And then also keeping things short, have a great title that grabs readers' attention. Make the narrative linear, so there's not a lot of thought that has to go in it. They can easily see the call to action. But again, the image is so very important.
That's right. And in fact, as we said before, there is huge science behind storytelling. And so the image is so incredibly important. Uh, and the fact, I was going to say, even you guys may have heard, YouTube did a study a couple years ago. Yeah, as you can imagine, they're video-based technology. How short can a video be to tell a full story? And they landed on 6 seconds. And that seems kind of mind-boggling, but if you really think about it, it can happen because we're actually showing stories in a matter of 2 or 3 seconds within each banner ad today. What could we do to actually extend that a little bit more, tell a better story, and get better engagement? And this article here talks about the quality of the content. 81% of consumers agree that quality is important. 78% say relevance. So those are two very, very high numbers saying those are the things that we need to focus on when we create our ads and or our stories, and that relevance. So Deep Target helps that personalization and relevance be up front and center. Okay, so go ahead. So finally, this is an article talking about what creates a smarter story. And it's, again, quality content, it's relevance, it's personalization, and it's finally analytics. So are you hitting the mark with your stories? So those are all things that Deep Target does very, very well. Of course, your content is up to you, but the rest of it we can support throughout the product. And our hope is that we can also share information like in this forum on our webinar to help you create that quality content to go after your consumers, your digital users. Okay, so go ahead, Brenda. So let's look at this. So this is a great across the top personal financial journey. So we have to think once again in terms of our consumer and where they are in their current life and what financial situations are facing them. But before we do that, we also need to make sure that when we show an ad to an age-based group, that we show one that's relevant. So once again, these are 3 ads displayed by one of our customers in the recent past that also won Ad of the Month. And look at what they did. They actually, and we promoted to everyone generational based campaigns. The first one on the left is millennials, the middle one is Gen X, and the one on the right is for baby boomers. People like to see people they think they look like pursuing the same type of financial product and happy in the end with their result. Okay, so one on the left, certainly millennials, they look like that, and they look all happy as she holds up her car keys. The middle one, of course, has the kids in the back with the dog, and then the last one there, which is my age group, which is kind of funny. They're driving off into the sunset with that convertible that they had always dreamed of having. But so it resonates. So each one of these tell a story, right? And we're going to continue that progression, if you will, to make sure that we're now focusing on the right things that are relevant for our customer base. So let's take a look at that progression from less than 20-year-olds to 20 to 30, 31 to 40. We're going to step away a little bit from the generational age groups because they're a little broader, and just look at these decades of age. So life events, there are different life events, often the same, but different priorities related to each decade, if you will. So when you're less than 20, one of the first things you're going to want to do is get a checking account, correct? That's probably number one priority. And perhaps your parents help you do that. Then perhaps you start with a credit card, then you get a job, then you perhaps get an auto loan, and then you get a student loan to go off to college. So that's somewhat the progression. Maybe slightly different. People could suggest different ordering, but that's what we're looking at. From 20 to 30, now we're looking at a new car, potentially. We're looking at a mortgage for the first time. We're looking at maybe a new student loan, or paying off that student loan, or consolidating debt, and even retirement accounts. I was surprised that how many people I spoke to in their mid-20s right now already planning the retirement, which is pretty cool because I didn't do that. Anyway, enough of that, my story. And then 31 to 34, perhaps now we're looking at a HELOC. We want to renovate that bathroom in that house we have, maybe a vacation loan, and so forth and on through. So as we look at each one of these age groups, we want to prioritize what might be most important for the majority of that group, and let's capitalize and therefore help them. Okay, so let's take a peek at that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to suggest that the new car are most important for a 20 to 30. Doesn't mean we're not going to do a mortgage or a student loan or retirement, but we're just going to set up a series of campaigns that will help tell a story and engage our consumer with our FI. So we could pose actually 3 different questions to that individual. Is your first car getting a little clunky? How about a new off-road SUV? Or how about a sports car? And certainly we could launch all of these at once and let them happen and hope we capture individual interest. But maybe we also create a progression along that line. So go ahead, if you will. Thank you, Brenda. So what if we did a timed release set of ads building on each other? And eBargain makes that very easy. We're going to go set up 3 ads, and Jacob's going to show us how about that in a minute. We're going to start one July 1st, have it run for 3 months. We're going to start one August 1st, have it run for 2 months, and we're going to start a third one at the end and let it run for 1 month and see what our results look like. And we're going to engage 3D Storyteller and targeting, so we make it very, very engaging. And then, of course, we're going to measure our results. And finally, we have all these technologies we can pull into it, from the very basic of a banner-based ad with still photos to a video, perhaps, or multiple call to actions if we use HTML, and so forth. Okay, so what might that look like? So we've just mocked up some very simple ads here that with some personalization that will run in progression to see if we get we engage our particular member or customer. All of them are going to be personalized. So we're speaking to Adam, and we're starting with the idea that Adam might have a clunky car. He just graduated perhaps college or finished his schooling. He's now gotten a job. This is what he's driving. He's going to resonate with that. He's going to put himself behind that wheel and go, you know what, I sure am. And secondarily, if we don't capture him then, we're going to just show him a little ad about a SUV, because we know how popular SUVs are, and we know how 10 to 20-year-olds love to go off into the mountains and hiking and so forth. And then finally, we might capture a few with a luxury car or even a sports car, and we let that run the last month. So see our overlapping capabilities. Of course, when this occurs, if Adam doesn't take out an auto loan, all 3 of these ads will stop. But we're also going to employ on our first ad, we're going to deploy a detargeting capability that will turn off the ad after a certain period of time. Okay, so we wanted you to think about this. So I'm going to turn it over to Jacob, who's going to take us now through how you might set this up in Deep Target. Okay, Jacob?
All right, thanks, David. So as David mentioned, we're going to go about setting up these 3 different campaigns here. And so we're creating 3 different targeted campaigns. All 3 of these campaigns are going to use the same rule. And so you can see here, we've built a rule for these campaigns. We want to target that age range, older than 20 and less than 30. We also want to make sure that they don't currently have an auto loan. And so by including that rule, you know, they'll drop off if they do open that auto loan. And then we also want to make sure that they have a little bit of cash available or money so that they can proceed to open this loan. And so we wanted to add a 4th field, that the total deposit balances in their account be greater than $1,000. And so once we set up this rule, we can begin customizing the campaign settings for each of our different ads. And so we've now created our first ad. And so once this first ad has been created, it uses that messaging that David had mentioned earlier. Our first targeted rollout is speaking on, you know, upgrading your car. Is it getting a little clunky? Is it old? Are you driving around your parents' car? There can be a many different, you know, ways to resonate with this type of imaging, with this type of story. You can see here that we've set the campaign dates under the campaign settings. To start our ad on the 1st of July and end it on at the end of September. We've set up the targeting, as David mentioned, as well. And so a little bit about detargeting. Brenda, if you could go to the next one, please. And so the way that detargeting is going to work on this campaign is with it set up for 30, 7, and 30. Your campaign will launch on July 1st. It will be on for 30 days. And at the end of that 30 days, it's going to check to see how many of your users recorded 7 or more impressions with no click. And all those users that recorded 7 or more impressions and didn't click on the ad is going to turn off that ad for 30 days. And so this then brings us to our second ad. And so with this second ad, this is scheduled to start at the beginning of August, 30 days after the beginning of our previous ad. And so anyone who maybe didn't resonate with that image of a clunker or an upgrade for their car, that ad turns off after the first month, and it now proceeds to begin showing the off-road ad. Maybe the member can resonate more with this sort of imaging in this story. You have this then proceeding to take the place and run for the remainder 2 months of the 3-month period. And this brings us to our third ad. Our third ad is set up to start at the beginning of September and run for 1 month. Again, just like previously, the second ad is set up to turn off after 30 days for any of your members that do not interact with it. And so then in the 3rd month, this new third messaging imaging will appear, and it could possibly lead to a different type of interaction with your member. And so, you know, you have 3 different opportunities in which you are promoting a different type of story that could possibly resonate with your member, and turning off the old ones that aren't connecting so that they're not being oversaturated during this process. And so once you set up all 3 of these ads, it's important to, of course, measure how these are performing. And so you can use the campaign category analytics report to take a look at the historical view of these campaigns over the past month or 2. And so as you see here, you can see the one campaign that proceeded to run for 3 months the full time in pink, and you can see an example of the campaign in blue, the second messaging of off-road being turned on at a later date once that pink campaign had been running for a while. And you see that pink engagement start to fall off as that turns off and the blue one begin to take over.
Perfect. So thank you, Jacob. So we can't tell you how important it is to measure your results. This image, we just set it up here as an example. It doesn't show the click-throughs or in fact the influence conversions as well, but you know that's all available in DeepTarget to take a look at. It also gives you the chance to compare when you have the SUV versus a luxury vehicle, which one resonated more. And again, we're only in the age group 20 to 30, so it's a perfect study, if you will, on what interests them in the third quarter of the year with this progressive campaign. So we hope we've given you some ideas of what you might do or could do. And again, we're happy to help you set that up, understand how it works a lot more. And once again, the analytics are so key. So next slide, Brenda. So I just want to remind you one last time, maybe not one last time, we have a new analytics API with Indeed Target, and that allows you to create your own dashboards internally to your organization. So people, in fact, your upper level management could use another third-party product for dashboard environment so that they could see how you're performing, and you could use that also to interconnect in with other systems so that they could get a whole, if you will, world view of how you're engaging with your members or customers. So that analytics API comes as a part of the product. It's very powerful. We have several looking into it already, and we're going to have some more discussions on sample dashboards that you might be interested in. Okay, so with that, I'll turn it back over to Brenda, and thank you guys for your time today. Go ahead, Brenda.
Hey, thanks, David. Oh, that's also interesting. And Jacob, how you can turn on and off the campaigns. Right now, we have the campaign of the month winner. So everybody get your hands together and get ready. This month's winner goes to Ann and Maya from United Credit. Yeah, United Credit Union. They have online banking and mobile, and they had a great click-through rate. In April, they had 7.73, and then overall for the whole campaign, it was 9.7. So let me just say that this is such an eye-catching auto loan promotion from United One. Offers a great low rate with 90-day no pay, and it drives, no pun intended, right? It drives their members to a landing page so that they can apply for the loan. This campaign, I think, is so refreshing and fun. The colors are bright, fonts and images. They invoke, like in storytelling, they invoke a feeling. They invoke a feeling of nostalgia and summer and how fun it would be to have a new car. And like I said, the campaign had an incredible click-through rate of 7.73% in April, and it continued to grow as it went on, and it currently has a 9.7% click-through rate over the life of the campaign. So big congratulations goes to Ann and Maya for a fun and high-performing campaign.
Yay.
So congratulations to United One Credit. Okay, so it's time for the Java Joy winner. And Jacob, as you are picking, since you're filling in for Helen, if you will look on the line and see who is still here, I'll give you a second. While you're doing that, I just wanted to point out Christine Sparks, who is in First Federal Credit Union. She sent us a quote in. Thank you, Christine. She says, I highly recommend the success reviews. A client support rep will go over what best practices you are currently doing and what we could do better. It's a great resource. And again, this is a resource that you get with Deep Target. It doesn't cost anything. It's 30 minutes of your time. And you meet with Helen's team and they will go through everything. So if you want to talk about storytelling and how you set these campaigns up to turn on and off, this is a great way to do that. Okay, so Jacob, I'm coming back to you. Do you have our Java Joy winner for today?
Yes, I do, Brenda. And so today's Java Joy winner is going to be Cindy Loy from One Vision.
Great. Okay, Cindy, congratulations for being our winner today. And so we will send you a gift card, a Starbucks gift card through email. And if you do not get it by the beginning of next week, give us a call back, reach out to Jacob or myself or David and let us know. Sometimes they get stopped at the firewall. So we want you to get that. So just make sure to reach out to us. Again, congratulations, Cindy. Okay, I just want to remind you that we have a survey, a short survey at the end that'll pop up when we close out. So if you don't mind just filling that out, just short 3 questions, we would appreciate it. And please sign up for our June webinar, which will be Thursday, June 17th. I know everybody's excited to get out and go vacation, but go ahead and sign up for that. Thank you so much for your time today. We hope you have a safe and productive month. And if you don't mind, don't forget to fill out that survey. And thanks again, and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.